Okay, so a couple months ago, my friend Muzzy asked me to do a video about my top 20 worst MCU costumes, and it was, like, kind of fun. It performed a lot better than I thought it would, and people seem to like that video format. And then my good pal Becky, we've been friends for like 10 years. You've edited tons of videos for me in the shorts. We do cosplay stuff together, you know? Good pals.
Oh, make way for Becky!
Becky came along and was like, hey, what if we did Spider-Man costumes? Because if there's anything my YouTube channel doesn't have enough of, it's ranting about Spider-Man costumes. So, instead of just doing top 20 worst ones, we thought we would do something a little special, where it's top 10 best, top 10 worst, and we alternate so that we get the good with the bad.
Xavier and I have both been cosplaying Spider-Man designs for over a decade, and reading comics for much longer than that. We spent a lot of time making these costumes in real life, so of course we're going to be pretty opinionated about them. We're not experts, but we're enthusiasts, just sharing our love, an opposite of love, for Spidey's looks over the years.
So, some ground rules for going over this is that we decided no classic costumes.
Oh, no,
And
no.
I think you know what we mean by that, as in, you know, Steve Ditko designed the best superhero costume of all time. It's just so perfect in every conceivable way. So, instead of just talking about, like, 10 different variations of that, because it is just the best, let's try and find the stuff that reinvents the wheel a little bit.
I feel like you can make an entire video based on that idea, you know, if this one does pretty good. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just focus on the suits that truly did try to make something different. So let's look at the fine examples of what has risen above or has fallen from grace.
I love superhero costumes, and that contributes to my love of collecting comics and action figures of those costumes, which are expensive hobbies. But thanks to today's sponsor, Whatnot, it's easier than ever to get your holy grail collectibles. Plus, I'm giving away $500, but more on that in a second. Whatnot is the #1 live stream shopping app where you can buy, sell, or auction literally anything. It combines social media, shopping, live auctions, and creates a great community space for collectors and enthusiasts like myself. Whatever you're into, they got it. They have Pokemon cards, sports cards, electronics, toys, Legos, Funkos, and so much more. Even snacks, candy, meat, and seafood. You can join an auction live stream like this one in whatever category you're looking for and swipe to bid on items. Buy from their shop, or chat with sellers. Here, let me just show you right now. I like action figures. Let's check this one out.
Welcome in, guys. Just selling what I have here. Brand new day Spider-Man, 35.
Oh, sweet. I haven't been able to find that one in stores.
All right, let me put it up. Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks for the first purchase. I appreciate it.
This is a neat way to find figures and support small businesses. I dig it. Use my link or scan the QR code to get $15 off your first purchase anywhere on the app. That means this Spider-Man figure I just grabbed would only be $20 if you'd use that code. Plus, if you follow me on Whatnot using the links and QR code, you'll be automatically entered to win $500 in Whatnot credit. That could get you a Marvel Legends Sentinel and a Transformers Metroplex with $50 left over to buy some snacks. The winner will be picked in just 1 month, so you don't want to miss out on this. Go check it out and see what you can find. I guarantee you'll get something cool. Now back to the video.
Number 10.
If we're going for reinventing the classic costume and doing something different, I think one of the best examples is John Romita Jr.'s Last Stand costume, as it's been come to be called over the years. I mean, obviously, it has a kick-ass jacket. Like, that jacket looks so cool. I would like to own that jacket if I could find a nice quality one, and also not look like the biggest dork in the universe wearing it. The basis of this design was Spider-Man met a superhero slash supervillain tailor named Leo Zielinski, who wanted to tackle some of the practicality challenges of Spider-Man's costume. Because he was like, this whole thing is like a giant one-piece sock around your body. If you got athlete's foot, it would spread all over your whole body wearing that. So he tried to redesign Spider-Man's costume so that he could change way faster, but also from the waist down, it's just his civilian clothes. That's just Peter Parker's pants and shoes. Which I do think creates some more problem with Secret Identity is, hey, wow, Spider-Man's wearing the same pants I saw Peter wearing a few minutes ago. Hey, he has those same shoes. I bought those for him on Christmas.
I think it is made out to be something that Peter can easily swap in and out of in an alleyway more quickly than this, tearing his clothes off, finding a place to hide those clothes, and then forgetting about it after like a fight or a chase or whatever, like Spectacular Spider-Man, where he's like, "Where's my shoes?" So yeah, he can just flip the jacket, throw the gloves and mask on, and then boom, he's ready. I especially love how there's even like a panel showcasing how Leo designed the costume and gave him a full-on sketch with the notes on how the suit functions. Like, he flat out thought of really good reasons as to why the suit was designed this way. Like, it's actually incredible that they included that. They didn't have to do that, but as a cosplay nut, I appreciate that they did.
Yeah, I always like, as someone who makes costumes by hand and has to think about the practicality of wearing them all day and making sure that they're reasonably durable and functional as something that you could actually get in and out of, I like seeing that thought process put into the fiction, so that it's not just the characters are wearing these clothes just because they have to be. It's cool to see like a fictional character designer explaining his work a little bit.
Now that you mention that, screw it. I'm also going to put in Spider-Man Noir's costume in the same spot, because that costume shares a lot of the same design elements, if not a little bit more, because that costume would be like worn on the street in like the 1930s, and he would just like wear like a fedora to hide his face, like in that one panel with Eyes Without a Face. I would also love if Peter could wear this costume in his older years, but like in a more positive timeline where he's not being jumped by the authorities or multi-dimensional vampires. Like, I would like that to be a possibility.
Yeah, the only context you ever see this suit is when the darkest thing imaginable is happening, so it's kind of a bummer whenever you see it. It's never used in, like, a happy context. There's a version of Ezekiel who wears this costume, I think, and that's in a universe where Peter Parker died.
He also stole Venom's look that one time. Like, that's the same jacket!
And I would also love that jacket.
Dude, same.
I'm shocked he doesn't wear that more often. They brought it back one time for the Donny Cates run.
Oh, well, we would pay to have those jackets, dude.
Worst number 10.
Meanwhile, on the flip side, let's head over to the bad costumes, of which there was actually not as many as I thought there would be. It was kind of hard to pick ones I didn't like, because I think Spider-Man historically in the comics has had a pretty good track record with costumes, but there are some real stinkers out there. So let's talk about his stupid live streamer iPod costume. I hate this thing.
Oh god, where do I even start with this suit? Like, talk about making your suit dull by adding a dull color. And that's coming from someone who lives in a town nicknamed Granite City. Gray is better used for accents and highlighting a costume, not like 70% of your base color. The orange lighting around the body, I think, just lacks severely, because Peter has worn suits very much like this one, but I've executed way better. Like, there's the Big Time suit, the Spider Armor Mark II, the Spider Armor Mark IV, the Future Foundation, Unlimited. And you know what? You're all haters. I like the Anti-Ox suit.
It's not the problem that it's monochromatic, it's just the way that it's laid out that ends up, because like blue and gray is just like kind of not a great color scheme. The costume is just like not fun to look at because it's trying too hard to look techy and futuristic. It's like all the things I don't like about Miguel O'Hara's second costume boosted to the maximum.
It's made even funnier when they have the lenses be like this weird Wall-E goggles, but then immediately backtrack and give us the classic lenses because they just knew it was not appealing at all.
But yeah, because he looks scary. He looks like a villain with eyes like that, like the telescopic like camera lens. Because I get the idea behind this is it's another example of Marvel pushing this weird idea where they really can't figure out how to keep Spider-Man as a photographer in the modern day. So they're like, let's make him a social media influencer. And it's come up a couple of times in the last like 8 years, is they keep trying to have Spider-Man live streaming or like vlogging, and it's just cringy every time they do it, because I don't think it fits the character, because I just don't think he's social enough to want to be an influencer, you know?
This is just a flyer for the Midtown High Fall Formal, but I'm not going. You lead such a sheltered life.
I don't feel like Peter Parker would be comfortable enough or open enough to do that, so it just feels weird, and it also seems like a giant threat to his secret identity. So I don't know why they keep trying to make this idea work, and it feels like this arc was maybe suggested by someone up above Nick Spencer, and he was like forced to write it in because it just has nothing to do with anything else going on in the entire rest of the comic.
If anything, if you were to make any character a streamer or a social influencer, why not make it Mary Jane? Like, would that not be the obvious choice, as she's the social butterfly?
Like, she's the party girl, she's an actress, she's a model, she's very photogenic, she's very outgoing.
Yeah, like, you could totally explore the more modern trends with Mary Jane while still have it fit her occupation. Like, hell, why not explore that way deeper? Give her her own team of side characters to, like, run an online business for her modeling career, or have her use her sources to help support Peter financially with Spider-Manning, or give her her own podcast. Actually, no, don't give her a podcast.
No more podcasts.
No. I don't have hope for Spider-Man 3 pulling that off.
That would mean that they would have to have Mary Jane be a civilian side character, but also have her own life outside of Peter at the same time, and they are incapable of writing that.
They would rather butcher her character even further by giving her different superpowers each new run, or just making her Lois Lane. Such is life.
Best number 9.
There's just something so nice about the fact that one of the greatest current painters and artists of our generation, like someone who is so obscenely talented, is also exclusively interested in just drawing cape shit. Alex Ross is a legend. Like, everything he touch just turns to gold, where he doesn't try to make things look more realistic or more tactical or more padded. He just goes for, I want to see the spandex in real life. He tries to maintain the wonder and the campiness. He very much comes from the design school of, like, Yves Brooks Spider-Man, Christopher Reeve Superman, or Adam West Batman, where it's just, here's that character plunked down in real life wearing a super silly cheesy costume, but can I make that badass and cool anyway? Alex Ross is a super huge, like, John Romita Spider-Man truther, to the point that when he was doing the intro scenes for Spider-Man 2, he redrew the lenses to look more comic accurate. I know that he loves the original design and doesn't think there's a thing wrong with it, and I'm sure he probably suggested they just use that at some point when they asked him to draw for them. But it is cool that he was like, okay, if I were to make Spider-Man look more intimidating and more serious, what would I do for that? And the result is something that looks really tough, but is also still super comic booky.
In the middle of editing this part, I learned that while Alex Ross is the one who illustrated this costume, the initial design itself was actually created by David Williams. So when me and Xavier refer to this as the Alex Ross suit, please know this was recorded before knowing so, and both Alex and David are responsible for bringing this amazing piece to life. Credit your artists. Okay, back to it. Funny enough, my first exposure to this costume was the unlockable suit in the Spider-Man the movie game.
Yes, mine too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I remember finding the design so sleek and almost as good as the classic look. Even though I thought it looked a bit more on the sinister side, the front logo especially is a standout because I've not quite seen it done like this before, but it's so simple and bold.
Back when I was a little kid and I saw the unlockable for this in the game, I didn't know who Alex Ross was, but I knew of Ben Reilly, and I knew that that was Peter Parker's clone, so I thought Alex Ross must have been another person who was Spider-Man in the comics that I had not read about yet. Because keep in mind, I was like 5, and I was like, oh, Alex Ross must be a different Spider-Man who looks more badass and sinister and has a black suit like this. I am glad that they didn't use this for the movie, because I feel like it looks a little too villainous in some ways, and it just sort of kind of clashes with the more bright and hopeful tone of those movies. I like this enough that I'm glad that it's kind of stuck around and maintained a presence over the years, where it finds its way into action figures or alternate costumes in video games. And then I think one of the few things that I actually really like about Superior Spider-Man, the comic, is when they were just like, how do we differentiate Doc Ock Spider-Man from Peter Parker even further now that he's going off the deep end? Well, what if we just put him in the Alex Ross costume?
Yeah,
Because it does look a little bit more sinister. The black lenses look more like Doc Ock goggles. There's just more of an intimidation factor to it.
It definitely brings back that sinister vibe I mentioned earlier, like especially with like the overarching spider logo and the messy webs. You can't go wrong with the messy webs in my opinion. It's such a lovely addition. I especially like his classic variant of the costume with the goggles. Like just the depth of its vision and the satisfying round shape to them. It's a very subtle detail that helps define this suit as Otto's warped reinterpretation of the classic suit, which I really, really dig.
Worst number 9.
So there's a great little what if story about what if someone else had been bitten by the radioactive spider. It's a cool story and I really like it. I also think the ending of it is hilarious because Peter Parker ends up becoming Spider-Man anyway in all 3 universes. Their attempts at trying to personalize the spider aesthetic more towards the other people in the story has led to some of the weirdest looking things I've ever seen. So John Jameson's Spider-Man costume trying to mix in an astronaut aesthetic because he's a spaceman just kind of fails miserably at looking cool. He looks so stupid, and I like to imagine the world in which maybe like some alternate universe where this was Peter Parker's costume and the character just did not sell because this has like 2% of the aura of his regular suit. This reminds me of like when people talked about like how Jack Kirby tried to design Spider-Man and it got rejected, and there's like a fan drawing that's gone around for a while like, hey, this is kind of what it would look like based on descriptions. This kind of reminds me of that, where it's just like, yeah, I wouldn't have accepted that design either.
Peacemaker, is that you? Looking like a Marvel Rivals type of skin, only it's the competing game, DC Frenemies.
Looking like a Judge Dredd if he was an Action Man toy line. Looking like a He-Man side character named Arachmid.
Arachmid.
Looking like a... shit. And wearing it on your head as a costume.
Jesus. The other thing is attaching both Spider-Man's lenses together makes the aesthetic of that mask look infinitely worse.
Dude even has a spider logo on his head, like a Captain America cowl.
It's also redundant, because he has the logo on his chest and his forehead.
One of the cardinal rules of Spider-Man designs is like having the spider logo spread all across your body and not like key parts like the chest or the back. Like, if you put the logo anywhere else, you're taking it too far.
Best number 8.
This is the closest I think we're probably going to get to a classic suit on this list, because it still follows pretty much all of the same shape blocking with like the tunic and the sleeves and the boots. But I think it counts as being different enough because they went so far with trying to make it different from the Raimi costume, and I think they landed on some gold here just because of like this new weird aesthetic where it looks like a spider web blew across your body and wrapped around you, and so it's kind of messy. Like the web is a little bit more consistent in around the center, and then as it goes out it gets more messy near the extremities, so there's like big gaps on the webbing near the gloves and the boots.
That's intentional by design, because when I think of Spider-Man as a character, I feel like a lot of adaptations leave out the part that he's a very scrappy dude.
Just as I was ready to order a custom machine replacement part, he returned from the hardware store with a bottle of solvent and a toothbrush. Bang! Actuator problem resolved. The boy is a genius.
Like, he will use any available resource at his disposal to get the job done. And I feel like this costume here really emanates that element near perfectly. The fact that we even see snippets of him assembling the suit, looking online for the base suit, using screen printing, cutting up the eyes for the mask. This is the first time we actually see him make a costume in live action, even if only by a tiny bit.
Because of just that little montage, it makes it so much more believable as like a homemade costume, where it feels like He just took a spandex suit and just puff painted the ever-loving shit out of it so that it would look like this. This is Spider-Man through the lens of, like, making his costume athletic wear, like a big Adidas sneaker. I think there's even, like, actual sports shoes built into the soles of his boots. And it works so well for Andrew Garfield because he's a much taller, lankier guy. So making the suit have all these really, really narrow, thin blocking shapes for the red parts really accentuates his body in such a way that it makes him look more, like, lean. But it also remembers that Spider-Man initially was supposed to look kind of creepy and like a weirdo. And I think that works really well for the story of this movie. Is Spider-Man needed his suit to have a kind of intimidation factor.
He's a Spider-Man, for Pete's sake. And this costume really brings that vibe back. In the next movie, he looks more like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I think they landed on a great design for his first movie, and I understand why it didn't stick around forever and something a lot more traditional replaced it right away, because it just made more sense for where the character was at, like, emotionally and personality wise. I'm glad that we had this in here just so we can add it to kind of our list of, like, Spider-Man over the decades, just seeing that design interpreted differently. This is a new take that I really like. I wouldn't want this to be the default costume forever, obviously. But if we're going to do a fun little aside and have it be a little weird for one movie, then this is a great choice.
This is like a good starter suit, but then he only keeps evolving from here. And that's exactly the Spider-Man that we know.
Worst number 8.
I'm sure this one will actually be kind of controversial that I put it here, but I've just never really liked the Secret War suit. Because it's kind of, in my mind, it's like the anti-Alex Ross costume, where it was a concept design that wasn't used, but I don't think it was good enough that it keeps coming back and everything. Because even though this costume is only in concept art for the storyline and then appears in like 1.5 panels of a blurry flashback in that actual storyline, it just keeps coming back like a bad penny. Like, this same costume is in so many video games now, and I don't know why. Like, what is it? Is it just because it's pretty different? Like, it's never done anything to really sell me on the idea that we need to keep dredging it back up.
I'll say this. You have just a black suit with red webs, but black lens frames, along with this giant bright-ass blue logo on the back, but a weak, small logo at the front, just makes it look so flushed out. Like, there's another cardinal rule, that if your Spider-Man costume has webs, the color has to match the lenses, or it just does not work.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I've never really thought about that, but Toby's suit has silver lens rims. The classic one is black. Miles is red. That is a good point, is that if you don't make those match up, it just starts to look kind of weird, like it clashes.
The suit itself is just overrated to hell. It's just a suit that you find on a wiki page or another online forum that says, "Did you know that Spider-Man wore this costume that one time?" I guess since it was a part of Secret Wars, it should have stayed secret.
Ooh.
Best number 7.
I quite enjoy the Spider-Man Unlimited suit. I mean, obviously, it's just like, this is the exact midway point between Peter Parker's costume and Miguel O'Hara's costume. I like a lot of what this suit does because it does take some big swings. Definitely like how the logo seems to be this raised, like, piping all the way across his chest that goes down to the arms and then turns into these other spiders that form gauntlets. It was terrible to try and make it a 2D animated design, but for like a video game or an action figure or even a live action movie, that would work a lot better.
See, I'm not usually an advocate for Spider-Man having a suit made out of nanotech. Even when the black suit initially was pitched as such, I never really thought of the idea of Spider-Man having that kind of suit aesthetically pleasing. This is the major exception to that. Because for one, he's wearing it for a purpose of venturing out into space, where he has no idea what's going on, he doesn't know what he's about to face, and he wanted to become prepared. Like, he borrowed it from Reed Richards. borrowed. I like the logo forming around the body. Like, he just popped up from the grid in Tron. Like, oh, love that look. I know this kind of breaks the cardinal rule I mentioned earlier about having the logo anywhere but the chest and back, but here it's much more thought out with how it's meshed together, and there's actual style to it rather than just being slapped on there. And oh, the web cape, it really brings the suit together.
This is the only time that Miguel's web cape has ever been brought out of the comics, and it's not even Miguel, because in Spider-Verse it's like, you know, they used it wrong and he wears it for 2 seconds, because it looks like it's made of, it's red and made of like energy or something, and then it goes away. They turn it kind of like a flying squirrel wingsuit sort of thing for Edge of Time. So it is nice to see the messy web cape done once anywhere and have it just be how it is. Like, I like the web cape. I think it's a cool idea. The coolest thing to me about this costume is the black shading on it. That is unfortunately impossible to do in live action unless you made it out of a really, really shiny material. If you took that shadow off the center of the face, this costume looks infinitely more bland, and that's never more on display than when actual 616 Peter Parker wore this for a hot second during that Carnage storyline.
I wouldn't say it's impossible because, well, obviously you can't make it out of the nano machines, son. But you can totally mimic the material here. Like, there's actual metallic lycra fabric that you can use. That it does look pretty close to how the shading works in the show. Because, yeah, it is weird seeing the mask without the black shading centering the eyes, but you could totally do it. I mean, hell, embrace the cel-shaded look. Grab a marker, bring the cartoon to life. Also, why does it go over his clothes and shoes? Where does it all go? I'm scared and confused, Xavier.
It's just squished in there. It's just compacted really tight. It's horrible.
It's weird. I feel so unclean.
Speaking of unclean,
Worst number 7.
I think Ben Reilly has such an awesome track record for costumes, and then this just completely derails it. And it's all down to one really, really bad design choice. Just one little thing that was just not a good idea, and it's that mouth. Like, I get it. The idea is that this is villainous Ben Reilly, which they've done so many times now. He's turned into a different bad guy 3 times now, and it's never been good. You can see people's lips through a spandex mask sometimes, and I think they were trying to leverage that to just do something a little different and make him more expressive. But when you take the nose off of the costume and there's just no other detail, it looks like face paint and he's wearing goggles. It looks very strange. It's probably also a throwback to Spider-Side, because the whole thing is just, this is Spider-Side's costume, and he had a big crazy Venom mouth, but like, when you condense it down onto Ben Reilly this way, it just doesn't work. Something about it is just, it just got lost in translation.
I feel like I should say more about this suit, more than just the weird outline of the mouth, the disproportionate hood comparing to the tight-fitting outfit, or the weird choice that it's just the classic suit, but everything below the neck is just inverted and without webs. Like, heck, it even looks like a naked version of the Unlimited suit. It's just a watered-down version of that. It's just lackluster, really. I find the finger pattern trailing up the wrist kind of cool, but other than that, nothing really exciting to look at.
There's a lot of maybe individually cool design choices on here that in a vacuum or on a better suit would have worked all right, but they just don't go together. Something about it just doesn't mesh when you put the whole thing in one package.
It doesn't help that they ditched that suit so quick in the comics.
Oh yeah, he gets rid of it so fast, like 2 issues later. I feel like maybe because of fan backlash when they first showed it, I feel like they must have added in that whole thing where he steals a proper Scarlet Spider costume from a cosplayer.
The fact that he stole the original Scarlet Spider suit, good choice, buddy. Yeah, I would have done the same.
Yeah, get rid of that shit. Get on the good costume.
At least with Spider-Side, he got a better costume down the line. It was in Spider-Man: The Human Agenda, written by JMD, and that costume was the original pitch idea for what Ben's costume would have looked like, so it looks way better on him. In fact, it would look better on both of them. Better than this.
Hey, you know what else the Spider-Side original story introduced?
What may that be, Xavier?
Best number 6.
Quick change!
Oh!
When Peter Parker and Ben Reilly had to go looking for MJ, who had been kidnapped by Spider-Side, he actually threw on a quick change Spider-Man costume, which was, I don't feel like changing into the whole thing, but I can't be seen, and I can't leave fingerprints, so I'm just going to put on the gloves and the mask from a black suit Spider-Man. This part of the list is just like quick change as a concept. Just the idea of Spider-Man just putting on just a partial component of the suit in a hurry, because it always seems to be in the context that the story is getting really serious and then something bad is about to happen, so he doesn't even have time to be the whole colorful superhero getup. It's just, I gotta put the mask on, I gotta put the gloves on, I gotta go throw down.
This was a weird discussion point when me and Xavier were coming up with this list, because yeah, technically they're not costumes, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this makes me see Spider-Man has the one thing that other heroes lack, which is that they don't have the integrity to jump into action at any given time. Like Iron Man, he has a whole army of suits that are like for different purposes. Captain America can simply be issued different costumes by the military or SHIELD. Hulk just wears pants. Spider-Man, on the other hand, while he has a costume and will usually change into whenever he can, there's times where he doesn't, but that doesn't make him any less of a guy who's willing to put his life on the line and do the right thing. And him just putting on a few pieces of the costume, covering his face, or ditching the suit entirely to leap into action on pure instinct, that alone makes him badass. Like, other characters that even come close to that level are Daredevil, maybe Wolverine?
Quick change has come up a couple of different times, and it's never quite the exact same whenever you see it. I actually really like in the Chip Zdarsky Spectacular Spider-Man run, they do this funny little follow-up on this exact version of quick change, where he tries to find an old costume to put on, and he finds a black suit Spider-Man suit, and it's missing the mask and gloves because he used it for this.
Oh yeah, the moment where he pushes out those cops is so cool.
I thought that was very clever to come up with that like 30 years after the fact.
Like, it doesn't matter whether you're in a fancy business suit or tattered clothes or even your pajamas, just fling on a Spider-Man mask and your aura goes up by 10. Dude brings the drip whenever there's none.
Worst number 6.
Magic! More magic! Magic with a kick! Magic with a...
Insect.
I'm surprised you wanted to tackle this one again, so I'm curious.
I feel like this thing is such a punching bag, and I do feel bad at a certain point, you know, because of how much we hate on it, but the way that they made it so gray and dull, like, I think this design looks better in the Spider-Man PS4 game, where they used a way brighter red and a way more shiny gold finish for it. But when you see it in the movies themselves, it just looks like just a half-rendered CGI blob. It is so gross to look at in every single shot. It's mostly here because I almost feel like people would be mad if we didn't include it.
This is where it gets a bit weird for me, because I completely agree with how the textures and the rendering and the overall execution in this suit's look is very off in the movies. Like, yeah, it's just shades of darker colors blended together, and it just looks very muddy, especially from a distance. Admittedly, though, I do really like the logo layout, just the way it reaches from the front to the back in a very techie way. That part is fire to me. However, I also hate the implication that the logo is blue, which I feel repulsed whenever I learn about that for Spider-Man suits. Like, that's another Spider-Man cardinal rule. If you make your logo blue on top of a mostly red color-based suit pattern, I will straight up disregard it, okay? Your opinion is invalid to me. Which is gonna backfire on me, because I'm about to say something that a lot of you will not like. I don't even like the Iron Spider suit from the comics. I'm sorry, but not really.
I am mostly just kind of like lukewarm on it too. I actually kind of like how it looks in a lot of the video games when they add a little bit more detailing on it to make it look more techy, which I know is super hypocritical, but I think for that design, which is super plain. Like, it's just got a lot of negative space on it.
Yeah, like it looks simple, but in a bland way.
Putting a little bit more, like, you know, armor detailing into it to just remind you that, like, oh, Tony Stark built this, kind of bumps it up for me a little bit, because then it just makes it look like more than just a weird looking regular Spider-Man costume. It's like, okay, this is the Iron Man spider costume.
Yeah, see, you nailed it. That's exactly it. And another main reason as to why I don't like this costume is because it comes from a narrative standpoint. I mean, Civil War, let's be honest, messed up comics for decades, to the fact that we're feeling the effects to this day. Spider-Man being the most notable one. You have Iron Man forcing him to join his side, threatening his family's safety, making him reveal his identity, and then giving him this new shiny suit with this giant body-sized leash. It just leaves a sour taste in my mouth whenever I look at it.
The storyline that tanked everything forever for Spider-Man, like, we still have never really recovered from the fallout of Civil War, which begat One More Day, which begat 20 straight years of sadness.
Regardless of what you think of either suit, I think the one thing we can all agree on is that Spider-Man can't get a suit from Tony Stark without being blackmailed.
Best number 5.
It's our friend Benjamin Rileman. So if you're gonna put a hood on a Spider-Man costume, this is the way to do it. Because I love the joke that the second he wore this out in public, Venom strangled him with the hood and he had to rip it off and never put it back on again. But I still love this costume because it is so 90s. It's so grungy. It's just so minimalist, but also just has so much attitude. There's something so weird about this among other Spider-Man costumes just because it looks so a product of the time it came out, when comics got a lot more dirty back alley, trash strewn brick walls. Like, everything got a lot more mean and edgy visually.
Having this suit be so nonchalant yet such a flex works so well with what it's going for. It's the most easiest, cheapest, and convenient look you can do, yet it's so prominent and dynamic. It's a morph suit and a hoodie with accessories. It just works. We both made cosplay videos about that too. It was awesome. Go check those out. Even though he's wearing a hoodie, its silhouette is still very much Spidey, but with a radical urban twist to it.
This is the first costume, I think, that they ever did for Spider-Man where they were like, what if we put the web shooters and the utility belt on the outside, barring like the Nicholas Hammond costume.
Y'all better put some respect on that man's name!
In the comics, this was the first time they were like, let's put the belt and the web shooters on the outside to just show that this Spider-Man's even more scrappy and even more just like putting together his crap from whatever he could find. Because, you know, the belt and the web shooters, when he's standing perfectly straight, they line up. So it creates a nice block between the top half of the costume. This rides a very fine line where if you remove any single detail from it, he looks weird and naked. Like, if you took the hoodie off of it, he would look like a naked red guy.
Good grief, he's naked!
Because a lot of superhero costumes suffer from that, where if you take off a single thing, suddenly it looks bizarre. Like, Superman looks very weird without his red trunks because there's just a blue crotch piece and then he looks like a blue naked man. Like, you need to give pants to your characters. You need to create the visual illusion of pants. Somehow.
It also tackles color coordination brilliantly. It really does matter, because you look at the original Spider-Man suit, and you see the red across the arms with the blue underlay, along with the belt and the boots, whereas here, the blue is the centerpiece, and it breaks up well with the painted, slanted spider logo. I especially love it when it's shaded well. Like, even without the black shading in certain interpretations, it still looks so sharp. Pure, unadulterated style.
Worst number 5.
Do I, have web on my face? What's the deal?
Rick Leonardi is not a bad Spider-Man artist, and obviously he can design an awesome costume. So, I don't know what the hell happened here.
Oh, God.
A temporal police officer from the year 2211. I mean, his design looks a little copy because it looks stupid and authoritative. Because the idea is that it's supposed to be even further in the future than Miguel's, but somehow his looks like some kind of weird throwback to like the 60s, while as Miguel's continues to look futuristic. Like, this doesn't look like it's even further. It looks like they regressed. The arms are stupid because they have pointy fingers and they look like Bender's arms from Futurama. The helmet is bad. I think having an open faceplate on the helmet hurts it a lot. He has no webs on him anywhere, which is not normally a problem, but I feel like it just makes his suit look really flat. It's every possible thing that could have gone wrong with this design went wrong. Like, I think it's a complete miss.
This is supposed to be the more sci-fi advanced suit after 2099. Like, dude, it's not even comparable. Like, why is he wearing a bib? My guy, you look like a failed Red Lobster mascot. And I don't care how good the sea biscuits are. This whole attire's in poor taste. The oversized armbands along with the Wellington boots look goofy as hell. Even in art form, the mechanical arms on the sides of the waist, they look like cardboard. Like a little kid just, like, glued them on. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's laughable. The only really cool part of the costume that I think is pretty salvageable is the helmet, but not by much because of the exposed mouth. Just looks so dorky, but like not in a fun way. Could easily like repurpose it for like a Spider-Fiend Kamen Rider. Otherwise, talk about wardrobe malfunction.
I'm glad that they leaned into how bad it looks in Spider-Verse. They didn't try to make it look better for that. They were just like, yeah, this character is supposed to be like a total hoser dork. He just sucks.
He gave him an oversized backpack, too. He's so lame. The character himself is just a punk as well. Like, he got killed off by Chameleon of all characters in that one run.
I don't think I've ever seen Spider-Man 2211 actually do anything cool or memorable.
This is one possible future that should have stayed in the past.
Best number 4.
Look, Xavier, it's our favorite color scheme!
Yay, I love black and red!
Yeah, love it!
I think the beauty of Miles' costume is that it is fairly simple. It's just recognizable enough as Spider-Man from the webs and the logos being where they are. It goes for a way more minimalist approach for everything else. The idea of just like doing like a negative filter, like inverting the black and red on the costume, is just such a sweet, simple little idea that just goes so far. Like, it just works. Like the red webs. Like, I know coloring those red webs in a comic is probably annoying because you have to draw the inside of the webs instead of just drawing a line. There's probably tons of artists out there who might hate drawing Miles because they have to make the webs thicker on him. But I think that the red webs on the black fabric goes so hard. The red rims around the lenses, going along with what you said, is like the webs and the rims on the lenses need to be the same color, and this just proves like how good that works when you do it that way.
Reworking a Spider-Man suit can be very intimidating, especially if it's for a character that's not Peter Parker, but this suit just proves that you don't need to overdo it. Just a simple good color scheme swap, changing how it's broken up slightly, and bada bing bada boom, there you go. Because like, they could have easily have it be Peter's costume, but just all black with red webs and lens frames. It actually reminds me of a cover from Spider-Man The Final Adventure, poorly dated name. It has this negative effect to it, which is a really cool visual for a cover. So instead of just doing that, I dig that they took it further and added these red ridges to ramp up the boldness of the look, as well as give him a unique logo as well with the little hollow area on the body. Like, when you look at that logo, that's Miles. That's Miles' logo right there.
I like that his back and front logos are different enough. I mean, they still kind of come from like the live action Spider-Man school of making it very sharp and angular and a little bit more realistic. Like the spider on Peter's back looks silly and cute. Like it's just a little ball with legs.
Yeah, like he's just a silly little guy right there, yeah.
I feel like if you tried to give Miles cuter looking logos on his costume, it just wouldn't fit.
Even the Into the Spider-Verse version of the costume adds like a little circle around the logo, which again, a very simple addition, but it just adds that extra flair to it, you know? Much like Miles himself, really. He's just got that little something that makes him his own, yet it's still very much Spidey.
I never loved the way that Bendis characterized Miles for the first couple of years. I think that those first two runs are like kind of hard to get into and hard to enjoy, but I never at any point thought that Miles' costume was the problem, because they just knocked it out of the park the first try. He looks so good.
This costume also, I think, really helps convey the message that anyone could be under the costume. In fact, for me personally, this costume is what got me more noticed in the cosplay community, and I grew to know the people that I know now, you included, Xavier. While I don't have the same complexion as Miles does, I heavily related to his struggle of living up to the name, as well with how I looked and what I identify as. So the debate of having that being portrayed through Miles is what really reached out to a lot of fans, I believe. And this costume is like a symbol of that topic. Like, you don't have to be Peter Parker. Like, yes, he's an everyman, but he's not every man. Like, you can be just as great, because if Peter is the one to teach us such lessons, Miles Morales is the example of those lessons. Miles Morales is Spider-Man. Deal with it.
Man, I still can't get over that suit. So cool.
Gotta be me.
Yeah, you do.
Worst number 4.
All right, so I have a question for you, Becky. Have you actually read the story that this is from?
I have not tuned in to ASM since Nick Spencer's run.
Oh, me too.
Like, I clocked out so hard, and I've never looked back. Though I did celebrate MJ and Paul finally breaking up when I heard about it, by recreating her outfit in that moment, I slayed it.
I'm so just emotionally exhausted by current Spider-Man comics and how bad they've gotten and how repetitive they've gotten that I have not come back to it. But it was to my understanding that after Norman Osborn was shot with a magic shotgun that makes you a good person and takes away your sins, Peter is cool with hanging out with the guy that caused his wife to have a miscarriage and also killed his first girlfriend. His first serious girlfriend. Because he's good now. Because he's a good guy now. Because he feels bad about all of it.
They're best buddies now. They're just little buddies.
So Norman Osborn builds Peter a suit to show his support for the Spider-Man cause. It's just kind of yucky to look at. Like, what's going on with the weird orbs on the wrists?
It's just on there for the sake of being on there.
If I were Peter, I would not feel comfortable having an open-faced mask that the only thing covering my face is a digital hologram. Like, what if it glitches out? And then you're just sitting there with a glass dome around your head where everyone can see what your face looks like. I just feel like that's a massive liability, and they were just thinking about more rule of cool than practicality, which is like fine most of the time, but I think there's cases where it just pushes the credibility a little bit too far, where it's like, okay, that's something that's just actually really stupid. Like, the character is being an idiot for making this decision.
This is just an ugly rendition of the classic suit, but just lobbed on with a bunch of random shit.
I think my biggest problem with it is that it doesn't actually evoke Green Goblin-y stuff. Because Green Goblin has a very specific aesthetic, is the green and purple, the chainmail, all the Halloween kind of gadgets. And when you're like, let's make a goblin gadget-themed Spider-Man, this just doesn't track, because I don't look at that and immediately think of like Norman Osborn's costume or his powers or his tech. It just doesn't look like anything.
They have the glowing spider logo, which then that reminds me of another suit, which is the all-new, all-different spider armor. Like, that suit is just better in every way. Gotta love how they don't even fully commit to the design with the Patrick Gleason sketch, because that sketch has, like, useless shoulder pads, the little purse on his side, and... Is that Charlie as a backpack? Xavier, did you know about this? Yeah, that's just Charlie right there.
I can forgive that.
See, there we go. We got one redeeming quality. I even noticed as well, it has the weird piping around the body too, because MCU suits also have that synergy, I guess. Why Insomniac included this as a recolor skin, referring to that, couldn't tell you.
How far Spider-Man has fallen after telling Green Goblin that his fanny pack and or man purse was an indignity, and now look at him wearing this.
Okay, wow. Just wow.
Best number 3.
I'd like to have a little discussion with the viewers about this costume, since I know it's going to come up. Over the years since I first talked about it, I've gotten a lot of hostility over this costume. I'm constantly taking shots over this on social media. Maybe people prefer the costume to be blue and red because black and red is a little plain and they just want to be more colorful, or they like it to match Peter's traditional color scheme. Those are all valid opinions. But let's set opinions aside for a second and talk about some hard facts. Fact 1. The costume was designed by Rick Leonardi to be black and red, using some of the symbiote's early designs as reference. It's not just, oh, GodzillaMendoza's stupid opinion that it's black and red. They mention it at least 4 or 5 times in that original run, even if they colored it wrong. I didn't make that up or start it as a rumor or something. That's just what actually was and is in reality. Fact 2. A lot of smug idiots like to say to me, oh, well, maybe it was intended to be black and red initially, but they changed it immediately and it's always been blue and red ever since, so you lose, shut up. Sure, you're probably thinking of the action figures and the cartoons, or even that Will Sliney run with the art that looks like it was traced from 3D models, but I'm sorry to say, that's factually incorrect. They colored it black and red again in the rebooted Time Storm comics in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And they've gone back to black and red in the last few years of the comics. So it has that color scheme multiple times, even in the 2020s. But hey, you would only know that if you actually read comics, and everyone arguing with me about it wouldn't be caught dead doing that, so me, am I right? Fact 3. I have no sway over any of this. Sure, I prefer it to be black and red because that color scheme is just cool. I like how it looks, you know, Batman Beyond kind of vibes and all that. But the way they color it has nothing to do with me, and it never has. It was black and red in the beginning, it was black and red in the middle, and it's been black and red recently through the character's entire history. And my opinion about it has been completely irrelevant to all that. Just like your opinion has been completely irrelevant to that conversation too. If you don't like that they color it black and red, I'm sorry. I can't control that. But I'm not the bad guy here. I didn't force anyone's hand to draw it any particular way, so the fact that I'm always catching strays over this is baffling to me. Give me a break!
And if a lot of you are still gonna act like pompous half-wits about this, Rick Leonardi, the artist and co-creator of Spider-Man 2099, flat out confirms this.
Is the 2099 suit black or blue?
Black or blue. I suppose it's a black suit, but it's black in the same way that Superman's hair is black.
His costume is black the same way that Superman's hair is black. It's just highlighted blue because it's difficult to translate black textures to page. That has now and has always been official. Let's leave it alone. Go buy Xavier's shirt, link in the description, and leave it alone. Well, I'll be shocked.
With all that being said, I do actually prefer that it be black and red because I think it makes more sense for the themes of the costume, being that it is a Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos costume that Miguel actually bought. You see, it's not actually a costume that Miguel designed for himself. This is a mass-produced costume made of unstable molecules because that material is actually very easily obtainable in the future, and he wore it just because he was going to a festival where there's going to be a lot of drinking and partying, and he wanted something that wasn't going to tear easily. It's the same material that the Fantastic Four's costumes are made of. So he just had this in his closet for at least a year or so before he got his superpowers. I think it's cool that this costume looks the way it does because it's Miguel wearing his Latin American heritage as his costume. You know, it's got like a Death's Head logo that looks like something you'd see on a Death's Head spider. It's got sort of this like luchador sort of thing going on with the way the mask looks, and yet somehow when you look at it, your brain still kind of goes, yeah, Spider-Man, right? Even though it has no shared design elements with Peter Parker's classic costume. And plus, I think even though the adaptations refuse to even really engage with it, I think the web cape looks really cool.
Oh yeah, like the web cape just really adds to the whole feature. And like, sure, in the games, in like Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions, they gave us like this really wicked back logo, which is all well and good and all, but like, I keep saying this, I sound like a broken record, but you can't beat a good web cape. I guess the only thing I can add to the conversation without sounding like I'm just like repeating what you said is that this is one of the best examples of how you do representation right in a Spider-Man costume. Like, you got the skulls for the logo and the eyes, but it also has the spider iconography with the legs attached to the chest and the cool little spikes around the eyes, which I really like. But then you have like other examples like Spider-Man India's costume didn't quite hit the mark, but then Across the Spider-Verse gave us a much more better take on that look. And then I'm reminded of Spider UK's costume, where it's just a spider-themed British flag.
Yeah, I'm sure actually living in the UK, that costume, you've got some thoughts on that. Because that's like if Peter Parker's costume was a big American flag with stars.
Yeah, like the original costume already has blue, white, and red as a color scheme, so imagining a regular Spider-Man but with a British accent was too difficult for them, I guess. This is what we get for a Scottish Spider-Man. Me then.
There's also a plot point that this costume is actually very easy to buy. There becomes like a cult surrounding Miguel and like Spider-Man, and so other people start getting this same costume and going on like anti-corporate protests. That's a cool theme that a lot of adaptations for Spidey 2099 don't really like hone in on, because it's very political, or it's a cool feature of the character that I would like to see represented more going forward.
With how things are nowadays, we need that more than ever.
Remember when he went into the Tron Matrix or whatever, and then they put roller skates and a bike helmet on this costume, and it looked really bad?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that was embarrassing.
The 90s were a great time.
Even as a hardcore 90s kid, I cringe.
Worst number 3.
Now, see, I originally didn't want to be too harsh on these choices. Mainly because I'm a huge advocate for these big companies reaching out to fans for official projects. I always think there should be opportunities like that, like how Ultimate Alliance hired regular day people to voice act, and not these big name celebrities like they do a lot of nowadays.
And that's how I adopted John.
What the fuck?
I'm all for creating something that's wild and out there. In fact, I heavily implore it. Me and Xavier are fine examples of that. So, in fact, there was like a whole Spider-Sona trend when Across the Spider-Verse came out, and so much creativity bloomed from that. But then I have to be harsh again, because these are from influencers that don't clearly know how superhero costumes work, and now they're an official part of Spider-Man media. Like, I could pick apart each costume individually, but I feel like that'd be stretching the video even longer than it needs to be. So I'll say the one thing that they all have in common is that they're less costumes that I imagine Spider-Man wearing, and more like how fashion designers in the Marvel Universe would wear this to a gala, as opposed to the actual costumes they wear to a gala. Like, these aren't suits that you fight crime in. This is like some college kids' textile assignment that their lecturers gave their marks on for being so abstract and unconventional. They're just wacky for the sake of being wacky. If that is an excuse to make an official Spider-Man suit, then they'll just accept anything. Just absolute slop.
I don't feel very strongly about these ones, because I think I took one look at them and went, oh, yuck, and then I just decided to never use them. Are they in the game by default, or do you have to download them separately?
These suits came with a free update, so luckily you didn't have to pay for those.
Because I feel like I went my entire playthrough of that game not seeing these, so I think, I've got bigger fish to fry. I want to wear a costume that looks cool, and there's so many more options in that game, and I think the biggest offense of these is that none of them really look cool. Like, rule of cool, it can excuse a lot of things, but, these don't look they just don't look badass. They don't look like Spider-Man, they don't look like superhero costumes, they just look like blech. And I don't care. Whatever, cool, good for the people who got to design them and get them in the game, but, like, I don't know. Just not for me.
Yeah, like, these suits are purely optional, and you should treat them as such. Out of sight, out of mind.
Best number 2.
Say what you will about the Clone Saga storyline, I don't think anyone would say that Ben Reilly was not dripped the f*** out for every single part of it, from beginning to end. And this costume is so awesome, because I think it is the only time someone has tried to reimagine or reinvent Steve Ditko's original suit design for Spider-Man. without making something horribly embarrassing. I think that there is a load of Spider-Man redesigns, especially in the last 5 years, that all try to capture the magic of Sensational Spider-Man and fail. Like, I don't think Insomniac's advanced suit hits the same highs as this, but it's taking a lot of cues from it. Like, giant logo all the way across the chest, you know, dialing back the red on the sleeves, going for something a little bit more chopped up with the gloves, putting web shooters on the outside where they're more visible, doing something kind of weird and abstract with the boots so there's more blue on the legs. Like, everyone's tried to copy the formula of this, but no one's gotten it right. This is like the Colonel Sanders secret recipe chicken of Spider-Man costume redesigns.
If you were to say, hypothetically, that if Marvel were to come out and say, we're going to completely replace Spider-Man's default appearance, and if they were to ask the fans what suit that we choose for them to wear, me personally, this would be the choice. It is such a brilliant retelling on the classic suit, which is interesting to me particularly because I started reading Spider-Man, and my first proper reads were the Leon Dicker run on Amazing Spider-Man, Mark Bagley and Brian Michael Bendis run on Ultimate, and Ben Reilly's Sensational Spider-Man. So to me, this was just another look for Spider-Man that was just as grand and as bold, and for like a better term, just as amazing. Mark Bagley draws him like he's the perfect artist for that suit. The big round eyes, the red covering the whole upper body, the bigger logo branching around him. It's delicious. I found the external web shooters with the selective red fingers as very inspired and unique. Even the half socks are very niche. I actually have a bit of a headcanon that when Ben first made this costume, he accidentally dropped or misplaced one of those red socks and was like, crap, where did I put the... screw it, I'll just cut this one sock in half. That looks cool. Yeah, that works.
I do kind of like the blue middle two fingers because it makes the whipping pose look really cool when you see his hands doing that. It kind of reminds me of that Nightwing costume with the blue stripe all the way down, wrapping around just the two middle fingers. I think functionally this suit is a great thing to have because it's important that we're able to distinguish which is Peter and which is Ben Reilly, and I feel like if Marvel had really committed to the Ben Reilly is the real Spider-Man, Peter is the clone, and then put Ben in Peter's exact costume, I think it would have invalidated like 25 years of stories if they had done that. So it's nice that you can see this costume and immediately go, oh, that's Ben. And there's like something that always scratches my brain like in such a pleasant way about seeing like two iterations of the same thing side by side. And so I think it's like, oh, there's like Spider-Man brothers and they have like just little variations of the same suit. And seeing them together is like, oh, that looks good. That looks great.
And also, all of the stuff we're talking about, the design, very much applies to Mayday's Spider-Girl, too.
Yeah, the crazy thing about this is that this costume was just worked so well that they could give it to a whole other character and it could just be that character's costume from now on. Like, they knew that they needed to keep this around, so they gave it to Mayday. And she still, I mean, she comes back every few years. She's always going to have new stories. And this suit looks good on her, too.
Game recognizes game.
So I have a question for you, Becky.
Okay.
So the logo on Ben Reilly's Sensational Spider-Man costume, is it a blue logo or is it a black logo?
Listen here, you little
Course number 2.
Jesus. What do you even say about this? What the
Girl, what are you wearing?
Come out yourself! You got your tentacles!
Where are those web wings connecting? What the so some context. This is from that same What If story where it's like, what if someone else other than Peter Parker became Spider-Man? It was like, what if Betty Brant got bit by the spider? Because she was basically the female lead and main love interest of Spider-Man at the time. You know, Gwen Stacy hadn't really taken over yet. I don't think MJ had really been around long enough to supplant the other two. So it was still early enough that Betty Brant was Peter Parker's girl. I mean, she was his girlfriend in the goddamn 60s cartoon because that was so locked in at the time. So in the issue, Peter makes the web shooters for her because he's trying to be like supportive, like, hey, you're a superhero now, I can help you out, because he's the only one who knows how to make that shit. but it shows her actually creating the costume and sewing it on like an old-timey 60s sewing machine. So Betty Brant made this costume for herself, and it's just like, what the was she thinking?
Like, okay, I know this is rich coming from me with my day-to-day fashion sense, but sweetie, you should be fitting that for the runway, not the alleyway. Like, unless you're a mistress of the night.
The thing that really is just super funny about it for me is just having this super scantily clad costume with like so much skin showing, and then just a regular ass Spider-Man mask on top of it. But also it has a weird V-neck that comes down. It's like, do you have to, like, is there like secretly boob tape underneath the mask that's taping that to her body to have that shape? That would bunch up and curl up and just look like a scarf around the neck. That would not look like that.
It's almost like nearing the same levels as Invincible's like neck piece.
I was just thinking about that. There's no way in hell that would sit straight.
It really wouldn't, unless you had like Velcro attached. But like, Betty, your bare skin, like where would that Velcro attach? Are you using the same webs attached to your pits? Did you shoot your webs under your arms in costume like it's deodorant?
Do you have to do that once every hour?
It also reminds me of like when you search up Spider-Man costumes, where it's like on eBay or Amazon or wherever you buy costumes online, but it's like in the women's category, and it gives you all of these quote-unquote sexy options, but they're like so obviously cheap and like not anything like the superior versions of what a spider costume for women should be.
I like how the issue also ends with them doing like a issue 50 reference where they throw it away in the trash can and walk off, and there's not enough costume there to do that tribute properly, so the artist had to draw way more extra material and fabric sitting there, but it just looks terrible because it's like, that's not what that looked like. Where is all this extra stuff? She didn't have a cape.
We saw it. You can't hide it. It's there. We've seen it
2 panels ago.
Best number 1.
Number 1. Best Spider-Man costume redesign of all time that's not the original costume. The black suit. And I know that seems like a weird cop-out choice, because it's like, it's so obvious, right? But yet it is obvious, because it's freaking awesome. This costume is so great to me because it does nothing that the previous costume did. They just keep the basic shape of the Spider-Man eyes and then just do nothing else. And it's just like extreme minimalism. It is just a completely black costume. The way that the logo wraps around in the shape of like a rib cage is really cool. I love how simple it is and so effective it is, because it looks intimidating and it looks badass. It gives him a little bit more of an edge visually. Like, he doesn't look quite as friendly wearing this, but at the same time, it still just screams Spider-Man when you see it. And this costume is so good it became its own character.
It went on to have its own issues and then have its own side characters, and even being butchered with characterization, much like Spider-Man himself.
Oh.
This costume is not only one of the most famous redesigns for Spider-Man, it's one of the most famous redesigns, period. It's like the best take of a new costume for a superhero that arguably exceeds the original costume and is even more iconic. And whoever decided to go with the black and white and not the original black and red made such a pivotal choice, which I'm thankful for. Like, the original color scheme looked cool and all, but this has a much better payoff, and clearly it shows from what we've seen. The use of black and white, two polar opposites of color, really complement its presentation so beautifully. And the logo is what really brings it together, as well as the hand patches that stop the suit from feeling devoid of contrast. Like, you can even make the eyes small or big, angry or round, doesn't matter. It just oozes with such presence. So much so that I think people think that it's the symbiote that makes him terrifying, but we've not seen him wear the symbiote for so long. Like, yeah, there's like a few runs where the symbiote will come back, but a lot of the time it's just the cloth version, and even then that makes him look so imposing. Like, if you ever see Spider-Man wearing this costume, it's serious. If you're a criminal and you see him wear this on a street, like, building above, pray that he beats you quickly. Because if you ask me personally, I'd rather deal with a Batman that smiles than a Spider-Man that doesn't crack jokes, because the only joke he'll be cracking is me.
Wait a minute, hold on. That maybe could be interpreted a different...
Huh?
Well, because, like, the word, when you say you're cracking somebody... Well, anyway.
Oh, okay.
You know what I love about this costume is that there was this great little while where they couldn't decide which one they wanted to use more. So they just had Peter have both costumes and switch back and forth just kind of on a whim. Like, he would wear this costume, like, for some adventures, and the red and blue costume for other adventures. And I've always thought that was kind of a cool idea as a superhero who's just got more than one outfit in his wardrobe that are still both definitively Spider-Man, and you see him wearing either one and you know who it is, but he's not, like, completely handcuffed to just one look. I really like that era in the mid-'80s of Spider-Man books.
He totally stole the look from Julia Carpenter, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny, is this whole thing came from trying to give him, like, a matching costume with a character that never really caught on.
He copied my whole f***ing flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
What else can we say? Dude looks good in black, and is the prime example that sometimes less is more.
Worst number 1.
Becky?
Yeah.
It's time for a Miles Morales original.
No, you can't! I won't do it! I won't do it! You can't make me! You can't make me!
Yeah, I mean, it's only fair, you know? I think Miles has had a really awesome track record for costumes. Like, in the movies, he looks good. In the animated shows, they always do his costume justice. He's got a lot of great alternate looks across the comics, I think. And then there's this. I've heard people call it the Colgate suit because it looks... his color scheme looks like toothpaste. I just think the whole existence of this thing is so funny because I can guarantee you this was like something that was forced upon the developers by someone with no artistic talent or merit at all, who was like, hey, you got to put in a brand tie-in, so you got to put it in the game and make it really important and make it a costume that you can't take off.
Let's start with the fact that this suit is just a blatant advertisement. Apparently, though, the art book has a caption that says that they added the Adidas shoes later when they were conceptualizing this final design, which, I'll be honest, I think we should all just take with a grain of salt, because regardless if that's true or not, this whole design just screams promo ad. It's made even more insulting when there's dialogue earlier in the game that flat out states that both Spider-Men are against this type of stuff.
Sorry, Betsy. We have a firm rule against Spidey endorsements.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
Seeing these emotional moments where, like, all these characters are pushed to their limit, and, like, the city is collapsing and people are dying, and you're looking over at Miles, and you're like, Miles, what the f*** are you wearing right now, dude?
I've seen people compare this to Miles wearing the Jordans in Into the Spider-Verse, which is not the same thing, and you're high on major copium if you think otherwise, because that's something he wore on top of his costume with a jacket, hoodie, and shorts. They weren't, like, a part of that costume.
Yeah, it wasn't the costume's actual real shoes. Because, like, in that case, that was more of, like, an incidental brand placement where he was just wearing regular, real clothes that, like, a normal person living in New York City would wear.
It's a quick change suit.
Yeah, he was doing a quick change. He was putting normal clothes on top of it. This is not a quick change. The shoes are built in.
Like, if anything, that's, like, one of the best examples of the quick change concept that we were talking about earlier, because, like, that had, like, a lot of symbolism behind that, where, like, you see Miles is, like, falling, but really he's rising. It showcases that he's still Miles Morales, but breaking the surface from within, he's very much Spider-Man.
Yeah, like, there was, like, a visual reason for that in the story, like, thematically, and that gives more weight to the final full transformation when he's wearing the costume proper. You know, there's so many ways you could defend that, and that has thought put into it. With this, it's just like, you know, just put some Adidas on him.
It's called the secret identity.
He says it's a Miles Morales original.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
He resorts to using Peter's primary colors, unlike the actual Miles Morales original. The color coordination in this template design is it's just a joke. The neon blue on top of the red around the legs and the logo it's just an eyesore more, if anything. And I can't help but think of remembering these two artists that come to mind who came up with these redesigns with the same elements that the suit tries to achieve, but they execute it much better. Both of them use like his bioelectricity to add to the design rather than like detract and make it like they make it more integrated and dramatic, you know? And then the worst thing you could do on top of all of that is that you force us into this costume that we know it looks bad, yet you try to tie it into the story to justify that choice, just for players to switch costumes when we get the chance, and then have it pulled over our eyes again when the cutscene starts. They patched it later, but, like, that should have been, like, a feature from the start, you know? They should have just gone with the anniversary suit.
Like, it's okay to take brand sponsorships, I get it. If you want to put that in there, it's you know, fine, sure. Like, you got to make that bread. I get it. But the fact that they're like, also, let's make sure that we put this giant Adidas billboard right in the most important cutscenes in the game feels a little bit like you kind of lost the plot a little bit.
It really takes you out of the moment when you have this big epic fight scene, but then some corporate suit who hand-fisted this into the final draft, hoping for fans to go, man, I really want to buy Adidas merch right now.
For some reason, I really want to eat some Adidas shoes right now.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm like, I'm answering it in my head. I'm like, nope, you can't say that neither, bro. Okay. Yeah, I know what suit you're talking about. Really? You're talking about the
latest game.
Yeah, with the hoodie and the cutout. A lot of people got mixed reviews about it. You know, I got a lot of people got, oh, I love that suit. Oh, I hate that suit. What you think about it? I'm like, bruh.
I'm glad you
Well, thank you for having this idea. I hope this video performs well. These somewhat semi-scripted, mostly unscripted, like, countdown videos are a lot of fun to do because I just kind of get to just chat and hang out with my friends, and we just get to ramble about costume designs, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I hope that our audience out there like these videos in this format, and if they do, we'll keep trying to find different subtopics to use for these. And if you disagree or agree with any of our points, let us know in the comments. I will read them and maybe give you a snarky reply.
Let's hope for the best, or the worst, that we can keep talking about what a Spider-Man can.
I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If just 5% of the people subscribe to me donated only $1 a month, I can make videos even faster and keep my house. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. Really helps me out. See you next time!